Hi guys, so today I am doing my reaction to the Bachelor finale. You guys said that you wanted me to do this video, and here I am doing it. So the finale was last night, Tuesday night. I have a lot of opinions. Now, if you've been following me on Twitter, you know that I tweet every episode, so you would have knowledge of a lot of my opinions already. But I do know a lot of you don't have Twitter, so that's why I'm doing this video. So this season has been terrible, I gotta say, really, really bad. Like, I just, like, this has been a really bad season. Like, it has not been something, and I know a lot of people feel the same way. Seeing Peter on Hannah B's season and how intense his feelings were, and then seeing the season where I feel like he didn't have intense feelings for anyone. Like, we know what happened or whatever, but, like, is it just me? Like, the way he looked at Hannah B, the way their, like, chemistry was, like, he didn't have that with anyone this season. Like, the most emotion I saw coming from him was the episode after the overnights with Victoria, where, like, she scared him at the end of the episode, like, it was, like, the bloopers or whatever. Like, I don't know. This season was very disappointing to me. But with that being said, we will have to talk about the whole Madison thing. I do not like how the season ended. I was not that surprised either. Like, it was really as boring as you could get, to be honest. I'm just frustrated with the whole situation. So, first of all, let's go back to the overnight dates. Madison, as much as I respect her for her decision, and I love that she's, like, standing up for herself and everything, she should have told him sooner, and there's nothing, you can't beat around that. Madison, who keeps saying, you know, I'm proud of my decisions and, like, I'm not ashamed, it's kind of hard to believe that because it took her so long to share that. If she wasn't ashamed, why wouldn't she have told him sooner? Like, Ashley I and all the other people on the show who have been virgins in the past didn't take that long to say it. Like, before the or after the overnights, actually. Like, if, and he said this in interviews, that if she had told him after that rose ceremony at the airport that she was a virgin, he would have realized the actual, like, scope of how bad it would be for her if he hooked up with anyone else. Like, obviously it's hard for everyone in this situation knowing that the person you could be engaged to in a week is sleeping with other people, obviously. But that is usually what happens in this situation. Like, going on this show, you kind of have to be aware of that. And not only this show in general, like, maybe if this was last season with Colton, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. She could have waited longer to tell him because she knew that he didn't have that past, but Madison knew Peter had slept with Hannah B. Like, she knew that sex was an important part of a relationship for him, and yet she just kind of, I don't say she expected him to make a certain choice, but, like, she couldn't, like, the fact that she didn't tell him sooner is what really bothered me, is what made it seem, the whole situation seemed more annoying. Like, if she had come out and said that during their first one-on-one, which you would expect her to, this whole situation probably wouldn't have happened. It even took her so long, I think it was her second one-on-one by the time she told him how religious she was, and, like, it all feels like they're just not that compatible at all. And, I mean, as much as you love each other, it doesn't really matter sometimes. Like, it just doesn't. But just hearing her say it's gonna be really hard for me, like, it's gonna be really hard for everyone, and I think that's kind of where his mind went, was like, yeah, I know, but, like, I still have to make the best decision for me by doing what's best for me. I don't know. I just think that she should have told him sooner. That's, like, my biggest thing. She keeps saying she's not ashamed of being a virgin and her, you know, faith and everything, but have you noticed? She barely could say the word sex. She couldn't say the word virgin. Saving herself for marriage was even hard for her to say. Even her mom, when they were at her hometown, was like, did you tell him the decision you made for yourself? Like, they couldn't use the word sex or virgin. Like, have you told him that you're saving yourself for marriage? They didn't say that. Like, it's just so bonkers to me that, like, you're not ashamed, but, like, it feels to me, like, I'm not saying this is true at all, and I do respect her, and, like, I'm sure I'm wrong, but, like, to me, it just came off like she was ashamed of sex. Like, it seemed like she kind of was judging him for what he did with the other girls, not just in the sense that they're in this relationship and it's a complicated situation, but, like, it felt to me like she thought he did something wrong, and that, like, sex is something to be ashamed of unless it's in, like, a married couple, and that felt annoying to me. Like, that was just, like, that's just how it came across to me. Like, I don't think she intended it that way. Like, I'm sure that's not really what she means, but I took it like that. Like, I was just not a fan of Madison after that. I liked her throughout most of the season, but as soon as she did that, it felt very manipulative to me, and, like, not in the same way as what Luke P did with Hannah B. Like, he was actually straight up rude and, like, judgmental and just awful, and Madison was not that severe and cruel and judgmental and disrespectful, but she did manipulate him in a way, as much as people don't want to say it and say it wasn't an ultimatum. Like, technically, yes, it wasn't an ultimatum. She didn't say, I'm leaving if you sleep with the other girls. She said, it's going to be really hard for me. And he did have a decision to make there, but at the same time, he didn't get the scope of why it was so important to her, because she didn't share the full truth. And at that point, I can't believe this didn't come up at all, that he never, like, was upset with her for not telling him sooner. Like, I'm pretty sure that didn't come up at all. I'm pretty sure that, like, he never even said, like, well, why didn't you tell me this sooner? Like, that just kind of bothered me. Knowing who Peter is, she should have said it sooner. Like I said, if it was Colton, it would have been a different story, but it wasn't. So that really threw me off. From there on, of course, Victoria has her issues. I do think she grew a lot. She probably watched herself back this season and maybe got therapy, because after the Women Tell All, Victoria really seemed like she kind of got her stuff together. So I'm not, like, I don't really hate Victoria. I do think she was very immature and, like, can't handle an adult relationship at that point anyway. But I actually liked her for most of the time. And then it comes to Hannah Ann, who was my go-to from night one. I really loved Hannah Ann. She is one of the nicest people of the entire season. I feel like she never really said a bad thing about anyone, even with the whole, like, Champagne Gate thing. Like, she felt so guilty even though she did nothing wrong. Like, she wasn't really involved in drama other than that, which wasn't drama. And I just feel like she's such a sweet, nice person. She was so genuine the entire time. She really did have feelings for him, and she was put through the ringer, and she didn't deserve that. And, like, I really, really felt for her during that last night, because he didn't tell her that Maddie had left, which I think would have changed her mind so much. If he had said, Maddie left yesterday, but I'm still struggling, like, she would have maybe not accepted the proposal, which maybe would have been a better thing. Like, they could have dated, but it would have been not that huge commitment, which is what their issues seem to be. And I just feel so bad for her. She was put through more than she needed to be, and at such a young age. Like, it was just so sad. Barb. Okay. I love Barb. I know a lot of people are like yelling at her and not happy with her right now, and I get that. I totally do. Like, parts of me are like, yeah, Barb, you're taking it too far. But let me say this, okay? I understand why Barb preferred Hannah Ann. You can just see it between them. Like, Hannah Ann brings a light out of Peter. Like, they're so compatible, and I could see them sharing a life kind of in similar ways. Like, similar things make them happy. And I just think with Madison, like, they are so different, and that's not that, like, it's always a problem, but if you think about just the way his life is and the way her life is, it just doesn't seem like it would work. It's not just that he likes to party and go out and she doesn't, but, like, she is this person who wanted a guy to be, like, the faith leader of her family, and he is not that person. And, like, it seems like they're both compromising so much, not just, like, meeting in the middle, but, like, it seems like they would both have to compromise in such a great amount that they would end up resenting each other. And sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes it doesn't conquer all. And, like, I feel like both of them are kind of getting swept away in, like, the passion and the, you know, this whole experience versus, like, the reality of it. Like, they still haven't, you know, been together in reality. Like, they met up that one time, didn't see each other for a month, now saw each other after the final rose, and that's it. Like, there's no way once they start seeing each other in the real world, with her living in Alabama and him living in California, like, I just don't see it working for them at all. I don't see her trusting him. Like, I just don't see it working out. Also, after the final, I'm going to be all over the place in this video, but I'm surprised Chris Harrison didn't bring up the fact that Maddie created her own fan account, like a fan account for herself. Like, that happened, like, that came out way long ago, but, like, I'm surprised they didn't mention that. I guess I wanted to mention how it's frustrating to me that so many of the men who are the Bachelor end up picking the girl who's more complicated. And not that there's something wrong with that necessarily, but it just kind of proves that men want what they can't have, or want, like, the chase, because look back to the last, I don't know, 10 seasons with, oh my god, I can't remember her name. Desiree. She had 2 guys left at the end. The guy who we knew was the front runner the entire time left on his own, and she pretty much fell back on the guy she picked. I can't remember his name. And it seemed like she fell back on him and was just like, okay, well, he's here and, like, he loves me, so I'm gonna pick him. And of course they are married with 2 kids now. Great. Same thing happened to Rachel. The goodbye between Rachel and Peter in her season was, like, the most heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen on this show, and yet she picked Brian and they're happily married. And that just seems like what keeps happening for the women. And then when the men go, they pick the more complicated person. Ari, yes, he picked Becca, but he switched back to Lauren, even though she was the one who couldn't say I love you as easily and all this stuff. Of course, there's Colton and Cassie. He picked the one who was not as into it as him when he had two other girls there who were head over heels. You know, we keep seeing these guys pick the girl that makes things more complicated and that everything's going to be harder with. And, like, it's just, it really blows my mind. And that's pretty much what we saw from Peter. I feel like he wanted to be with Madison because it was harder. And also, we always see, they always pick the person that their family doesn't prefer. No matter a man or a woman, I feel like the lead always has to, their family meets two people. The family almost always likes the first person better. And then when they have the questions about the other person, because they have to defend them, or they feel they have to defend them, it kind of builds up their feelings for them. Like, Hannah B, she picked Jed, even though her family was, like, super, like, questioning him. That probably pushed her toward him even more. You know, and we have the same kind of situation with so many of these seasons. Like, I'm pretty sure on Rachel's season, her family questioned Brian because he was, like, too slick, and of course she picked him. And that's the same thing that happened now. Like, yes, technically he picked Hannah Ann, but he went back. And, like, I just feel like it's so annoying to me that that happens. And this season, I feel like it was kind of the same. Like, if Peter's mom and parents and family didn't question Madison so much, he wouldn't have felt the need to defend her so hard. And that would have kind of reminded him that Hannah Ann is there and is this great person. And, like, that's what pushed him further into Madison's arms, which kind of proves that I feel like he's still pretty immature, if we haven't already figured that out this season. But with Barb, I think that her original questioning of Madison made sense. I think that they are really different, and it is a struggle if she knows her son, which I'm sure she does, and even his brother. Like, it's not like his brother was like, oh, rolling his eyes at the mom. Like, he was agreeing, like, Peter, we know you, and we don't think that this is gonna work with Madison. Like, I think you're being blinded here, and I agree. At the same time, like, I understand when he still had a choice between Hannah Ann and Madison for them to say those things. He wanted their opinion. That's why you bring the girl home. But with that being said, once Hannah Ann and Peter broke up, I could see Barb being the type of person to still reach out to Hannah Ann and, like, want to, like, keep her around and in her life and stuff, which is fine. But I think at that point she should have just said, okay, like, I still don't know if it's going to work out with Madison. I still think it's a risky move, but if that's your choice, I support you. And I think that that's what should have happened. I think that's a better parent. Like, no offense, Barb, I love her. I think she's fantastic and hilarious, and I think I would love to see her reaction to every couple on this show. But I do think as a parent, like, you should support your child, even if you think they're making the wrong choice. Like, that's their choice to make. Like, they can make their own mistakes. And, like, she actually kind of said that, like, he has to fail to succeed, but, like, there's definitely parents on The Bachelor in the past who didn't support this couple, but for TV's sake and just, you know, in general, they said, you know, I just want them to be happy. I trust I trust them. That's all she had to say, and she couldn't do it. And if you didn't know, when she whispered to her husband, like when Chris Harrison asked Peter's dad what he thought, Barb whispered to him and said, in Spanish, she said, say something bad too, help me. I just can't, it's so funny. And, like, Barb's whole reaction, like, just her picture in the bottom of the seat of the corner, like, nodding along with Hannah Ann, and, like, looking like she was gonna throw up at Madison. It was hilarious. Like, I really enjoyed that. The Hannah Ann breakup, I thought, was one of the best I've seen on the show. Like, that's what I expected from Hannah B with the Jed last season. Like, I feel like she really held back. Like, she was really, Hannah B was so, like, strong last season, but then when she broke up with Jed, like, I feel like she was just so done already that, like, she kind of just couldn't even put the energy into it. But I think that Hannah Ann all season being this super sweet girl who just, like, seemed so, like, such a good person, I think I was so proud to watch her kind of stand up for herself and, like, tell him the truth and be like, you put me through all of this and you didn't have to. Like, you knew the whole time that you still had feelings for Madison, but you felt the need to propose to me. Like, I get it's weird in this show where you break up with someone and 15 minutes later you're engaged to someone else, but I feel like that usually happens when the person already has a front runner in their mind. Like, as many times as we see, like, the morning of the proposal, they're like, I still don't know. They do, and I think we all know that. If any of us was going to go on the show, like, I've always said this, if I were to be the Bachelorette, I would know, I feel like, from, like, at least the first couple of weeks, like, who I had the strongest feelings for, and that would pretty much last till the end. Like, that's why I would never go on this show, because I'd want to break up with everyone really early, and I'd pick the wrong person so soon. And I feel like that's what didn't happen this season, but Peter still knew, like, if Madison was here, I'd propose to her, and yet he didn't. And I don't know if it was his mom or just like being like, I can't let her walk away, like I finally found this person who loves me for me and all this stuff, and like just wanted to give it a chance, like knowing that he really couldn't. I mean, he could have said like, I can't get engaged, I'm still too heartbroken over Madison, and like I do want to keep things going with you. Like that's what I was expecting to happen and hoping. And I actually think they might have been able to work it out if that happened. I think it's really messed up that when they got engaged, he still had to reach out to Hannah B for closure. Like, that right there says he is not ready for an engagement or a relationship, or even this whole season of The Bachelor should never have happened. He still had too many feelings for Hannah B. Just shouldn't have happened. It should have been Derek, and anyone who disagrees with me. But Hannah Ann really impressed me with her, just her stance and being strong and like saying like, I don't need anything else from you, like you ruined this for me, like you took away my engagement that should have been my only engagement, and he did, and that's really messed up, and he should have known better. I feel awful for her. And then yes, I do partially think, you know, this was a while ago, maybe 3 months total, but that's still like, even though they didn't even know each other, I feel like for 3 months, that when you're engaged, like those feelings go through the roof faster than they would in a longer relationship, and like thinking you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, I can see how she'd still be so bitter and upset about it. Yes, it's nice when we see people being classy and polite to each other and like, oh, I wish the best for you, like, but it is kind of fake because no one really feels that way. And being Hannah Ann, who is this nice person, I can see how she is still so broken up about it. And just like he did, he screwed her over, and like whether he intended to or not, he did, and he made a mistake, and he keeps saying that, and it's true. And what she said to him was true. She said, if you really want a woman, you need to become a man, and he's not. And his mom agreed, obviously, because he did not handle himself well this entire season. He did 100% keep people around who started drama. Anytime a girl cried, his eyes lit up. Like, did we not see the last date he had with Hannah Ann after Madison left? He was like, still, like, she could feel something was off. The second she started crying and saying she needed more, and like she was at her wit's end, he was like, his face lit up, and he was like, okay, she's the one for me because she's crying. Like, he thinks that crying is like the end all be all, like it matters more than anything else. Like, it's very odd. It's very odd. So I think that Hannah Ann was totally right in everything she said, and I think she's great, and I wish her the best. I hope she finds someone fantastic. I don't even know if she'd go on Paradise at this point, but if she does, I hope she meets someone and it works out super well. Madison and Peter, I don't think they're gonna work out. I really, truly don't. I don't know, just everything I've already said, like, I just don't think they're gonna work out. I do think that they already have so many obstacles, and then with their families probably not being on board, it's gonna be so much harder for them since they both are so close with their family, and it's gonna ruin so much in both of their lives. I feel like, especially we've seen it for Peter, is like, him and his mom are not strange, but like definitely have a lot of tension because he's picking Madison at this point, and that's gonna make him even more kind of resentful of her. She did never apologize. I gotta be real. Like, I know Barb said this, and a lot of people are like, no, Barb sucks. Like, it is about Madison too. It is. It's about her happiness and her choice and his, and it does need to be a two-way street and stuff, but at the same time, he is the Bachelor, so it does come down to his decision. And like, she didn't apologize. She made them wait 3 hours and all this stuff. Like, yes, but she didn't apologize. And like, I see how Hannah Ann did seem so much better to Barb, because not only did she make it so clear that she loved her son and was like willing to do anything for that, but Madison didn't. And like, that's fine for her. There's nothing wrong with that. But I can see as a parent why Barb would question Madison a whole lot. Oh, also, what really bothered me was that Peter said, I can't give you all my heart to Hannah Ann. He kept saying, like, my heart was pulled in 2 different directions, and like, I can't give all my heart to you, and I still have feelings for Madison. But now he can give all his heart to Madison. He doesn't still have feelings for Hannah Ann. So he really messed up. Like, the second that Madison walked in, that time when like she came to visit him, like, I don't know, I just like feel like that's so messed up. Like, that's pretty much what happened with Ari. Like, he couldn't give his whole heart to Becca because he still had feelings for Lauren, but he can give his whole heart to Lauren. Like, obviously they're happy together with a kid and whatever, but like, I just find that very frustrating to hear. And I also think it's odd that Madison, she made so much sense when she left in Australia. Like, she said, this isn't right. Like, I know it's hard, and like, sometimes we love someone, but like, I know this is the right decision, and I think it was the right decision. Like, she made so much sense. That episode actually made me really like respect her more making that hard decision, walking away from someone you love, because it is the right thing to do, and it's not going to make both of you happy. And that made so much sense to me. And then her changing her mind felt very like, just I guess immature, and like she chased after him. Like if he really wanted to be with her, I feel like he could have went after her. Like it was just a mess. And it feels like to me Chris Harrison like had money on Madison or something, because he's the one that chased after her. Since when does Chris Harrison meddle like that? I'm just so frustrated. I cannot wait for Claire's season. I'm not gonna watch Listen to Your Heart because it looks like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I am excited for the 65 plus Bachelor. That sounds amazing and adorable. Claire I think was a great choice. If you haven't seen what I said about it on like Twitter, I think Claire for the Bachelor was a fantastic choice. I love that they picked her, kind of like how I was with Ari. Like I was kind of like in the middle of the road, but I liked that they picked someone older and someone who isn't as like, I don't know, like in your face. They obviously wanted Hannah B as the first choice, which I would have been over the moon about. Hannah B has been my favorite Bachelorette by far forever. She just held her own so much, and I feel like because they wanted Hannah B and she was such a popular Bachelorette, but they couldn't get her, I didn't think they wanted to settle for Tayshia or Tia, because they just seem like so cookie cutter. Like no offense to them, they're whatever, but like they're cookie cutter, and I could see their season going so similarly to like other seasons in the past. But Claire is a lot more like Hannah B. She has all this life experience, and she is bold, and she says what she means, and she has no problem like telling someone the way it is, and I think that's great. With that being said, I just saw a list of her guys, and there's like 2 people that are her age or older, which is frustrating. There's like 2 black people, that's it. Like, did we not learn that we need more diversity on the show? Did we not pick that up? Wasn't that the whole reason? Like, Rachel was there. It wasn't just about like diversity and like racism on online hate, but it was like people might not give so much online hate if we had regularly diverse casts. There's guys on her season that are 23. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? We need to raise this age up a little bit. I think they're thinking more about Paradise, and they also think they casted the men before they even picked Claire, which is annoying. But I love Claire. I think she's awesome. I'm like so excited to see her season, and I just think she's a fantastic choice. I do think it would have been nice to have Katie would have been my next choice. I prefer her over Tayshia. I just feel like she handles herself so much better. So I would have liked her, but of course Claire is like, I'm so happy. Like, if it's not Hannah B, I'm happy it's Claire. I also understand why Hannah B wouldn't want to do it. And of course we know Tyler C's mom died, which is awful, awful news. But it does look like Hannah B went to go and like spend some time with him in Florida. So I don't know if they're getting back together or they're just friends, but I'm happy to see them like bonding and her being there for him. It's something that like really warms my heart, because I always thought that Hannah B should have ended up with Tyler. I think that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to know in a comment below. That's it for my, not review, but my reaction to the Bachelor finale. This season blew. So yeah, if you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more from me, and I'll see you next time.